right, it is showtime. It is week 3 in the USFL. Man, we had the first ever 3-point conversion play. We have 2 undefeated teams left. And we have a new number 1 team for our week 3 rankings. So, welcome to the show. Stay tuned. This is Common Sense Bets. I am J.K. Wilson, and we are a small channel using a common sense approach in a large sports betting world. If you're new to this channel and would like to become a common sense soldier, please hit that subscribe button down below, as we are a young channel and we are on our way as we grow to 1,000 subscribers. If you like the content of this video and other videos I have, please remember to hit that like button, as that helps our show grow as well. If you've been here for some time and you've been with the channel before and you are already a common sense soldier, please also remember to hit that like button, as we enjoy having you here. I appreciate you. I couldn't do this without you. The daily grind, learning how to do the videos and everything, and learning how to present this show is all for you. So, once again, welcome to Common Sense Bets, and this is J.K. Wilson. All right, everybody. Before we get into the heart of what we're here for, which are the Week 3 rankings, let's just kind of discuss what's happening presently in the USFL. And like I mentioned earlier, we have some pretty nice things happen this weekend. First of all, we have 2 undefeated teams still. We have both of those teams coming from the South Division, Birmingham Stallions and my New Orleans Breakers. So that's pretty good so far on a young season to see that taking place. And of course, I'm pretty happy about my Breakers. But also, I'd like to point out that we had a 3-point play conversion happen for the first time in professional sports. So I kind of want to dig into that a little bit before we go into our Week 3 rankings. Okay, the highlights should be running right now. Should see they're starting at the 10-yard line. That's where they started with the 3-point conversion. Let's take a look at it. And as we can see, we have quarterback Brian Scott, throwing the pass to running back Paul Terry for the 3-point conversion. So that's pretty cool. And I want to just, read something to you that I find quite interesting. Just hang on a second while I pull that up. All right, I have that up. And basically what's going on here is the fourth quarter, and after scoring the go-ahead touchdown, the Philadelphia Stars did that with 8:51 left in the fourth quarter. And at this point, the Stars, are attempting to try to extend their 4-point lead, because at this point right now, the score is 23-27. So basically, they need to, try to get a better lead than that. They're trying to get that lead to 7. So quarterback Ryan Scott took the shotgun snap, and he quickly threw it out, as you saw, to running back Paul Terry, who made the catch and scrambled into the end zone, completing it. And USFL teams do have that option after scoring the touchdown. They don't have to go for traditional scores. Like I said in my, if you can look back at my earlier video on the new rules in USFL, I covered it in that video early on. But they have that option to go for a 1-point conversion, which many of them have so far, a 2-point conversion. And like I say, those plays are things we're used to. But this 3-point conversion is a little bit different, and our teams do it when they need to, of course. And in this case, in the fourth quarter, with a 4-point lead in a tight game, Philadelphia felt the need for it, so they went for it. And like I said, clumsily a few minutes ago, they needed to make a 4-point lead, a 7-point lead, to try to get a good cushion there. So I think that's pretty nice option to have in the USFL now. I like it. They had 27-23 lead in the fourth quarter, and they made that a 30-23 lead, and that was pretty cool right there. So just kind of wanted to point that out. I like that. I like that what's going on with the USL so far in the competitive games. People not in the stands is not a problem for me. I look at the fact that these players are working hard out there, and the coaching staff seem to be doing a good job to prepare their players week in and week out, despite the record. So look forward to more games, and right now I'm looking forward to jumping into what we all came for, and that would be our common sense best bets week 3 rankings for the USFL. All right, guys, you'll probably see this happen many times in some of my videos as I get used to being a new person on the channel doing this for the first time, learning it from the ground up. So I did say we were jumping into our week 3 rankings, and I was wrong. Actually, we're doing our week 2 quick rankings review, and I promise I won't keep you here long, but let's just take a look at what I picked last week so we can have a better, view of how the week 3 looks when we do get to it. And I do mean next time I say it, it will be the truth. All right. So I do apologize for that. But let's quickly look at our week 2 rankings we had last week in review. And on the screen right now, you should be able to see Common Sense Bets week 2 rankings review. And at number 8, clearly you can see we had the Michigan Panthers. At number 7, we had the Pittsburgh Maulers. We had 6 last week were the New Jersey Generals. And at number 5, the Philadelphia Stars. And guys, you remember, you can go back and take a look at my week 2 rankings video and see, the reasoning behind the rankings. I think they were pretty accurate. And as you see, as we go into week 3 rankings, I think I did a very good job week 1, 2, and I like what I have going into week 3 when we get to those rankings. But let's continue on. At number 4, we have the Houston Gamblers. Number 3, the Birmingham Stallions. And at number 2, the New Orleans Breakers. And then at number 1, and that was for the second week in a row, the Tampa Bay Bandits had back-to-back number 1 spots in the number 1 position. So with that said, just a little quick recap as we, kind of like what I did there. I think those rankings were pretty accurate. If you look at the scores from the games this weekend here that just took place, I think those rankings matched the outcomes of those games very, very well, except for one in particular. If you, like I said in my other video, if you look at my video of the recap of one of Saturday's games, you see, and also look at the fact that my betting record right now on the game so far for the year is 6-2. So I lost 2 games, and unfortunately, one of those games I lost was the New Orleans Breakers, who just demolished the Tampa Bay Bandits. But on my picks, I picked the Bandits, of course. So, but other than that ranking and my bets, doing good so far with the rankings. So with that said, let's go ahead on and move now, truthfully, on to the week 3 rankings. Let's go. All right, y'all, let's get it started. Week 3 rankings, and at number 8, let's go with, and you should see it here on the screen, the Michigan Panthers. The Michigan Panthers, in my opinion, if you watch the games this week, and that should be no surprise to anyone, they're 0-2 currently overall record, and as well in the North Division. And of course, last week they hung on to the same number 8 ranking. So let's kind of take a look at what's happening with the Michigan Panthers. If you guys hang on, we'll go ahead on and pull that up. Just give me 1 second right there. I'm a little slow with the technology, so just hang on. I got that figured out right quick. So like I said, if you look up on the screen right quick, you'll see that at number 8, the Michigan Panthers, there are some reasons why. If we just start off right there with their team stats right now, passing wise, they're averaging 161 yards, passing yards per game. That's currently 6th overall in the league. Pretty close to the bottom there. Not doing too shabby there in the rushing department, as you can see, with a 131.5 rushing yards per game, which currently ranks them third overall. In the third down percentage and efficiency, they're ranking 37.9% clip there, which also is not bad. And that also ranks them third overall in the league. So they got some positive things going on there on the offensive side. But however, in the turnover department, both ways, they're pretty static. As you can see, sitting fifth overall, basically give or take, I don't have that current stat up as far as what their takeaway, giveaway numbers exactly are. Maybe we'll add that to a later video. Key players so far on the team: quarterback Shea Patterson, running back Stevie Scott III, and running back Cameron Scarlett have, basically powered the offense along with wide receiver Lance Lenoir Jr. And on the defensive side, Frank Genda has been the standout on that side as well. Look forward to some more stats on those players in a later video this week when we actually put out our best bets for the week on this game. But let's just continue on with looking at what we have and the reasons why I chose them as number 8 in these rankings. As you can see clearly, points for the team right now is low at 18. And despite the numbers on the team stat side, that side is putting them in third in some areas, they're just not scoring points. It's not getting into the end zone. So the offense is pretty stagnant in those areas and not converting key third downs. And, of course, turnovers are hurting them as well. And points against right now is at 27. So, defense is trying to hold its own, but when you're on the field that as often as they have been, and then giving up big plays and giving up points at 27, you can see why right now they're currently ranked 8. They are currently, right now, currently third in the division, and that's just based on, even though it's one stadium, home team, lost things, and a few other stats, but still low in number 8 on my rankings. And as we can see here, they have a pretty strong opponent next week as they go against the 1-1 Philadelphia Stars. So at number 8, Michigan Panthers. And we're going to move on as we go ahead and take a look at number 7. All right, guys. Okay, let's take a look at number 7. And as you can see here on the screen, we're going with the Pittsburgh Maulers. Pittsburgh Maulers are currently 0-2, also from the North Division. And their last rank last week in Week 2, as you can see here, was number 7, as we saw in our recent Week 2 recap. Let's take a look at why they are. To pull up the Common Sense Bets stat chart here, and the number 7 Pittsburgh Maulers currently with team stats have a passing yards per game going on at 161 yards per game, 6th overall in the league, a rushing attack of 106, and that's per game, and I would say that's probably at the bottom because I didn't get a rank on it, but I would say it's 6th, 7th, or 8th. Third down efficiency, they're sitting at a 31.3%. That's 5th overall in the league, and doing pretty decent in the turnover department. Currently sitting at a +3, and that's that's a sign. That's a good thing for them, I guess. A good indication that some things can maybe turn around from that area forward. And that's 2nd currently overall in the league. So, I mean, that's a bright spot for them. Key players will be quarterback Josh Love, running back Garrett Groshek, wide receiver Bailey Gaither, and linebacker Key Yava Tizino. And he's been doing pretty good on that Pittsburgh defense and most recently last game. As you can see here, doing a little bit better in the points for department, sitting with 26.4, but unfortunately that defense, which should be strength of the team, is giving up 47 points so far. So you can't win like that, and quite honestly, I don't think the offense is helping out much either. They are currently 4th in the North Division, so it's a little topsy-turvy as far as my rankings. 7 and 8 for the league, for me, is third and fourth for the league. So, nonetheless, their last two games, they lost 17-3 to the Tampa Bay Bandits in week one, and they lost recently this weekend in a pretty hard-fought game. I thought they showed better, but still lost 23-30. And of course, as we described earlier in the video, that included that first three-point conversion, which actually gave us that final score when it was 23-27, 4-point lead. The Stars, of course, made that three-point conversion and got that 7-point lead and hung on to in the game. So tough loss there for the Maulers, who played better but still lost. 0-2 so far, and just like we have two 2-0 teams, and both of those in the South Division, we have two 0-2 teams, which is not too good for them, I'm sure, right now. They're not feeling too good. And both of those are coming from the North Division. And you can check out one of my earlier videos where I talk about the division and the teams with my pre-rankings for week one. And I discussed, where I felt the South Division, where you can see the top three teams coming from. And so far, 2 games in, it's turning out that way. And hopefully, we'll see how it works out in week 3. But I, talk about that on one of my earlier videos, so take a look at that. So, with that said, we'll go on to number 6. All right, let's pop number 6 up right here for you guys. And at number 6, as you can see, we're going with the New Jersey Generals. Now, the New Jersey Generals are currently 1-1 from the North Division. Last week's ranking, they were also number 6. So basically, so far, I'm pretty good as far as what I'm, my rankings on the top as well as the bottom, as the 3 bottom teams did not change thus far from last week's rankings. And so I'm pretty excited about that and hope to continue putting out good rankings. But once again, let's get back focused and let's talk about why they are number 6 on the rankings as we take a look at the Common Sense Bets stat chart here. Number 6, New Jersey Generals. Team stats, passing wise, sitting at 141 yards passing per game. No rank on that currently. And 131.5 rushing yards per game. And no rank on that currently. And I think that they're ranked pretty decent with those numbers compared to some of the stats and rankings we gave earlier. And maybe I just missed it, or I just need to maybe do better research, but I'll get those rankings and do better there. Third down efficiency, we're looking at 37.9%, which is 3rd overall for the league. Not too bad there. And I've watched the New Jersey General games, and they're pretty strong team, man. They just they're pesky and they hang in there and they play some tough games. Turnover wise, they're 5th overall at a 0, so they're pretty static right there. Key players so far, they have kind of like a double-headed dragon there at QB with quarterback Luis Perez taking the bulk of the snaps, but with DeAndre Johnson coming in with legs, throwing and running the ball. He's also one of the team leaders in the rushing game as well at quarterback. And then, of course, we have our actual running backs, and 2 of those, and that's Darius Victor and Trey Williams. And I've watched them play, and those guys, they're a pretty dynamic little team. They're hard to contain. Wide receiver Randy Satterfield is maintaining his status so far through 2 games, doing very well for them. Of course, he's famous for that first touchdown catch ever for the USFL in week 1 when the Generals opened up the inaugural game. And then linebacker Chris Orr and defensive end Deion Sizer doing a pretty stout job there on the defensive side there with tackles for Chris Orr and, of course, sacks there for Deion Sizer. Points for right now, they're currently putting up 34 points. And they're sitting pretty even with giving up 34 points. And like I said, those games are pretty hard fought so far for the Generals. And they're, splitting them, of course, being 1-1. They're currently sitting in first place right now in the North Division, and based on what I've seen so far on TV, they look strong enough to be that for the North Division. Their last two games, first game, week 1, they lost a close one. If you guys remember, to the Stallions in that inaugural game there, and that was 24-28. Pretty much a game of halves, remember? First half, second half. So, but then they bounced back this week in a kind of a squeaker and a dull of a game, really. I don't know who and what was going on between them and the Panthers, but they won a close one 10-6. And it was that close on the field, in my opinion, as the Panthers made a better showing for themselves as well. And the Generals played their game, but just didn't look as good as they did in week 1. So that gave them a 1-1 record, and they're going up next week against a 1-1 Philadelphia Stars, which that should be quite a good contest, and I'm looking forward to seeing that one. So that's at number 6. That was the New Jersey Generals. Moving on, we'll go ahead and take a look at the number 5 team. All right, guys, as you can see, at number 5, we have the Philadelphia Stars. They are also 1-1 in the North Division. So basically, the North Division is holding down the bottom half of my rankings. They were also number 5 last week in my rankings, so not much shakeup there. And so far, their records and the stats on the field and the play on the field has backed up their place in these rankings. We'll move on by taking a look at the Common Sense Bets card for the number 5 Philadelphia Stars. And as you can see clearly, team stat-wise, passing yards are 141. Their rushing is at 131.5 rushing yards per game. Third down efficiency is sitting at a 39.7%, which is third overall. Got a little typo there, forgive me for that. And the turnover percentage is at a static 0. So that puts them also in that 5th overall category with several other teams. Key players so far on that's standing out is quarterback Brian Scott, running back Darnell Holland, wide receiver Maurice Alexander, and linebacker Josh Banderas. They're sitting pretty static, like just similar in points for at 47. And points against, it's just one back at 46. So, like I said, not static, but, pretty close to it. And which currently puts them, like I say, second in the North Division. And those yards and percentages and points for, points against kind of reflects why. And if you look at their last 2 games, I mean, they started the season off. They looked very strong in the game against the Breakers. Started off that season and lost I thought a pretty good game to the Breakers, 23-17. But nonetheless, they lost and came back and didn't look as good, but still won against the Maulers, who looked better. But to me, the Philadelphia Stars didn't look as sharp, but still won 30-23, and had to do that 3-point conversion to kind of get that edge right there late in the 4th quarter. So. With that said, they have a pretty decent contest against the New Jersey Generals, who are 1-1 as well. So that should be a pretty good contest for those ranking teams, because we got low-ranked teams going to each other. Somebody's going to fall way down further, and somebody's going to stay in the middle of the pack and hopefully get a chance to rise up in the rankings later. So with that, we'll go on to our number 4 pick. Hang on a second as we get that up. All right. Guys should be able to see it. At number 4, we have the Houston Gamblers. The Houston Gamblers are currently 1-1, and they're coming out of that South Division. And, man, that's 5 in a row. They were also the number 4 team in last week's rankings. And remember, those rankings, I was impressed with them so much in week 1. They went from number 8 and jumped all the way up to number 4. And they remained there. And I thought they played a pretty solid game. Let's just take a look at why I have them there as we look at the Common Sense Bets number 4 Houston Gamblers game card. And what we see here, team stat wise, is that they're not doing too good in the passing area at 111 passing yards per game, which puts them 8th overall. And in the rushing game, also, it's not doing too well, and only averaging 118.5 rushing per game. And they're not doing too great in the third down efficiency area, and going in at a lowly 20%, and that ranks them 8th overall in the league. But when it comes to turnovers, they're at a +1, but that has them tied for 3rd overall, and that's kind of a bright spot. And I guess they're getting turnovers at key spots, and then you watch them play. They play pretty tough, and at times the defense flies around and plays great defense, and the offense gets some great plays here and there, and that's just not enough. And if you look at the points for, it's 45 points for and 45 points against. It's just straight static, and that's the way it's been for these last 3 teams that also all 1-1. It's just they're generating points and they're giving up points. So they just got to kind of continue getting things together, early season, and they haven't gelled as well as some other teams. That puts them currently 3rd in the South Division. And they opened the season for the last 2 games, and they won a close one at the Panthers, 17-12. And like I said, that was a game of 2 halves. And that first half, the Gamblers flew around. Second half, they barely played. And last week's game, when they lost to the Stallions, 33-28, it's the same thing. But it was different because then they played in just spots. They played well at times, didn't play well at times, and that's just overall on the team. So that put them at 1-1. And they have to go up against a team who may be pretty angry right now, and that will be next week going against the 1-1 Tampa Bay Bandits. So that should be a good game matchup in the South Division right there. So I look forward to it. So number 4, Houston Gamblers. Moving on, we'll go ahead and take a look at the number 3 team. All right, at number 3, we have that team I just mentioned that may want a little revenge this week, because that is the Tampa Bay Bandits. And man, oh man, they were riding high for 2 weeks, as I said earlier in the video, when they were ranked number 1 for 2 weeks in a row. But now they're 1-1 in the South Division. And last week's ranking was number 1. And man, oh man, let's take a look at what's going on with the Tampa Bay Bandits. I won't mention much about the loss to my New Orleans Breakers. We'll deal with that in a second. But the Common Sense Bets number 3 Tampa Bay Bandits card shows that stat-wise, man, the passing game has struggled. Jordan Ta'amu is just the best quarterback in my opinion, but just not getting it done. And at 122 yards per game, has him ranked 7th overall, kind of shows that. The rushing game, man, 97 yards yards per game. Not even ranked in that, man. I just think that's non-ranked. third down percentage, I'm just getting there, guys, mistakes, is at 30%, which puts them 6th overall. And in the turnover department, they're sitting at a -5. 8th overall. So the key players, as I mentioned, Jordan Ta'amu, great quarterback. Don't know what's going on. B.J. Emmons at running back. Cheyenne O'Grady at receiver. And at linebacker, Christian Sam. Solid players all. And so far, put 20 points up. Excuse me. That should be a different score. 64 points. Well, I might have that stat wrong, so y'all just forgive me on what's going on points for. But nonetheless, they 1-1 and they lost. And it puts them 4th now in the South Division. So the once mighty high Bandits have really kind of fallen in just one game. And let's take a look at these last two games. What happened? I mean, they went up 17 points and put up on the Maulers there, and they looked strong doing it. But maybe that was kind of a misnomer because next week, I don't know if it was the New Orleans Breakers or if it's just the Bandits just showing who they really are or what's going on, or just had a just bad day, a horrible day, because they lost 34-3. So, man, that's 51 points. Excuse me, 20 points. So I was right. I'm sorry, guys. That points for is correct. 20 points. So mistakes you make when you start doing this stuff, man, even though I have it right here in front of me, my eyes are playing tricks on me as well as my brain. So forgive me for that. 20-point score. So, man, I couldn't rank them higher than number 3. And we'll see why. Because as we go on to the number 2 team, that would kind of explain it all. So let's get the number 2 team up now, guys. Let's not spend too much time on the Bandits. All right, you see it right there. At number 2, Birmingham Stallions. And they're sitting currently 2-0 in the South Division. And they're going up a rank from last week, as I had them number 3 last week. And I know you can make the argument they could be number 1. I mean, they're playing in Birmingham, stadium, everything. They look good in their wins, but we'll see why. Let's take a look at their card. Let's just take a closer look at it. Doing pretty well there. I mean, overall, in the passing game, 213.5 yards per game, second overall in the league. Rushing at 120, fourth overall in the league. Third down efficiency sitting at 41.7%. And that's first overall in the league. And it's sitting at a +1 there in the turnover area, and that's tied for third overall. And the players making that happen, the key players here are Jamar Smith at quarterback, running back C.J. Marable, wide receivers Osiris Mitchell and Victor Bolden Jr., and that linebacker DeMarcus Gates just, knocking it out over there on the defensive side. And they're putting up those points, with those type of stats team-wise, offensively. They're putting up some points, as you can see. They're 61 so far. It's pretty good. Defense is giving up 52. Not so good. And that's one of the areas I look at, with the Stallions when I compare to other teams there. They're pretty dominant in a lot of areas, but in that defense, they need some help around with Gates. And I see sometimes where they struggle, and they have struggled a little bit more in games to me. And if you look at that last 2 games down there, they're sitting currently standing wise second in the South Division, and I think that's pretty accurate and does match my number 2 ranking as well, because I just think that's where they are overall. They're clearly better than the number 1, 2, 3, 4 teams in the North Division, and they're to me better than the 2 teams behind them. The last 2 games down there, I probably made another boo like I've been making. It just happens, y'all. It's just what I do. So you have to take a look at their schedule to see the 1 loss, and I'll correct that in the future, guys. But I know what's correct is their game next week against the 1-1 Houston Gamblers, and that should be a pretty good game for them to try to hang on to that undefeated status. But we'll see how that goes. That's it. Got it all the way down to number 1. So with that said, let's go on and let's get to it. At number 1, we have the team that I've been talking about since this league started, and that is my New Orleans Breakers. And let's just take a look at what's going on here. There they are, guys. The number 1 New Orleans Breakers, also sitting at 2-0 in the South Division. Last week they were ranked number 2 in the week 2 ranking, so they also moved up one spot. So basically, in this week's ranking, guys, we only have a small shakeup at the top, and that would be because of the matchup between the New Orleans Breakers and the Bandits that was just played this past weekend, in which the Breakers beat them pretty badly and in a very sound fashion, and that was from start to finish. So with that said, let's just take a look at some of the stats as to why I ranked them number 1 and why not the Birmingham Stallions. Well, like I just said, they beat the current number 1 team resoundly from start to finish. And I mean, it just really could have been worse, but there were some miscues and misplays and turnovers on their part where they could have scored more. But let's take a look at their stats also and match it up to number 2 Birmingham. So make my case. The passing game on the team stats, 213.5 passing yards per second overall. So they're right there. I mean, it's pretty good ranking. In the rushing area at 120, puts them 4th. But their passing game is working well, so it's a pretty good combination on both sides. At third down efficiency, they're sitting at a 41.7%. And that's first overall in the league. Pretty good right there. And that +1 turnover ratio gets them a third overall ranking in that category as well. So pretty good there on the team stat-wise. And the players that are key in contributing to these areas, of course, is quarterback Kyle Sloter. And he's just been lighting it up, man. He's been doing well. He's looking strong throughout the game. And running back Jordan Ellis, along with T.J. Logan Jr., have been doing a great job in balancing out the offensive attack. Wide receiver Jonathan Adams and Sean Poindexter are just dangerous out there, catching everything coming their way, high pointing, just getting good moves and running good routes on the DBs, no matter what the coverage. And on the defense, man, linebacker Vontae Diggs on tackles, and defensive end Davin Bellamy. Man, Bellamy is just killing it on the sacks, and just, quarterbacks are starting to get worried about him. I mean, he's back in that backfield, is wreaking havoc for tackle for losses and pressures and sacks. So currently 57 points for the Breakers. I mean, that's pretty awesome. I mean, that's right there with the Birmingham Stallions as far as production. But what I really like is that points against. Man, 20? Come on. Tampa Bay just scored 20 points only. New Orleans just really, really beat them up. So I'm really looking forward to that Birmingham New Orleans game. As you can see, that's coming up next. So that's going to really, really be really going to kind of tell a lot about both teams and the South Division, and maybe the championship for this league. I mean, if New Orleans can win that, that's great. And if because they have beaten both the top teams in the first ranking. However, if the Birmingham Stallions win out, man, that's going to really be great for them as well, and see what they do against the Tampa Bay Bandits and other teams in the league. So, man, it's going to say a lot with a short season, this game coming up this weekend. So that's going to be exciting. So Breakers are currently first in the South Division, and in my opinion, first in the entire league, and that's why I ranked them that way, because the South Division is currently the strongest division. Last 2 games, man, a strong one against the Stars there, a 23-17 win. Really good showing there for the Breakers. But, man, that 34-3 whipping of the Bandits just said a whole lot to me as a fan. And to the whole league in general. So that's a lot to watch there, and I hope they continue successfully. And like I said, Birmingham Stallions 2-0 versus 2-0. And what's unique about this weekend is that we do have that, but remember, we also have 0-2 versus 0-2 this weekend. So, and a lot of 1-1s fighting for, middle area. So it's really going to be an exciting week. This week in week 3 of the USFL, y'all. So I hope y'all tune in and watch the games. Look for my videos coming up on the picks that I'm going to have for these games. But the number one thing is, hey, right here, who will be number 1 in week 4 after all these exciting games taking place this weekend. So tune in later in the week. Look forward to those picks on those games. I will have that out before the games start on Saturday, hopefully by Friday. So look forward to that, but don't hold me to a schedule. As I said earlier, I'm learning to do this on my own. I'm learning to grow on my own and improve on my own, and I'm determined to do so. I'm going to make mistakes, and that's okay with me. I'm not afraid to make them, and we'll laugh at them together, and we'll see how it all works out. So look forward to my next videos, and remember, always hit that subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button. We need to build our common sense soldiers as we are trying to grow to 1,000 subscribers, build that common sense army. We are a young channel, and we do need your support. Couldn't do this without you, and the grind is real, and I do put the grind in and put the work in, and I hope you see the improvements, and we'll continue to grow together. Look forward to more videos, but if you like the content of this video, please hit that like button and show your appreciation, and that really helps the channel grow. And if you've been here before, and remember, you are already a common sense soldier, but I still need you to like this video and spread the word for everybody to join the Common Sense Bets Army. And with that said, this is Common Sense Bets. I am J.K. Wilson. Deuces.
Ice in my veins, I've been driving this train. Years in this lane, there's no stopping this flame. Cause I came to the game and I changed it to play how I like, rearranged it to my own domain. Yeah, I got what it takes, made lots of mistakes, taking shots, skipping breaks, feeling lost, feeling great, popping off, singing straight, never stopped, never changed, all the